Aloha, and how's it? Today we're talking all about how you can simplify your LinkedIn marketing plan so that you can grow your business and scale your impact as an expert. So, more on that in a minute. How was your weekend? Our friends did this tandem surfing competition at Makaha. It's on the west side of Oahu, which was really incredible to watch. So tandem surfing is like two people surfing and they do like these acrobatics on a board where, like one person is lifting up the other person. It's incredible to watch. So they made it to the finals. We are so proud of them. If you're curious, you can check out my Instagram reel where I have my sunglasses on. So you can look Instagram Mindy R Rosser and you'll see my little post about it if you're curious. So you'll get a taste of how the local island competitions run and how it's really like a party on the beach and everyone kind of camps out. People camp there for like a week before the competition and sometimes you don't even know what day the competition is going to be on. So it's very very island like. So hopefully you enjoy that. And now it is time for Mondays with Mindy. This is a weekly show at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, where I talk about all things LinkedIn pipeline, promo, and profiles, what I like to call the three P's of LinkedIn. So, a little teaser for those of you who also are podcastaholics like me. I love podcasts. If you have one that you like, tell me about it because I will listen. I am actually launching a podcast called The Mango Effect on April 4th. So it's right around the corner. The trailer episode is now up at mangoeffect.com if you want to check it out. Also on Apple Podcasts. So go ahead and subscribe now so you'll know when the episodes drop. I'm dropping like 10 episodes on April 4th. So you really want to be there. You can binge listen. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be completely different from what we talk about here on Mondays with Mindy. It's less LinkedIn centric and it will give you a sneak peek into what I believe it means to live a lifestyle by design. Lots of stuff about creating your own lifestyle by design, Hawaii, well being, health, spirituality, surfing, relationships, all of that good stuff. So I'm starting to post some teaser snippets on Instagram at Mango Effect Podcast. If you want to check them out, if you're like, oh, I'm curious, let me check it out. And I hope to see you over there. Now, back to the show. Have questions about LinkedIn that you want me to answer. Be sure to like this post whether you're live or watching from the replay, and I will answer them after the show or on a future episode of Mondays with Mindy. I love getting questions because they give me ideas for what you're really curious about. So if there's something you want covered, I have a list of ideas from others. And today's topic is actually one that came inspired from some of our listeners. So let's get to today's topic. How do you go about what I like to call the keep it simple smarty pants approach when it comes to LinkedIn marketing? Like we are trying to keep it simple here. So last week we talked about LinkedIn creator mode for experts who have long form content. And that really leads us to today, where we're going to go beyond creator mode just a little bit to simplify our marketing plans. So while many experts think they need a complex marketing plan for LinkedIn, it's really not that complicated to get started with marketing on LinkedIn. So a lot of the experts who I work with are really not trying to become these influencers in their space, believe it or not. Many of them simply want to fill their business pipeline with the right people. They want to use LinkedIn to do that. And as long as they have a steady stream of prospects, they are happy with their efforts. So if that sounds a little bit like you, you're like, yeah, Mindy, I don't really care if I'm the go-to influencer and have 100,000 followers on LinkedIn. That's really not my goal, but I do want to engage those people who would really benefit in working with me, whom I could really help on a deeper level. And can I use LinkedIn to do that without spending all my time writing content for LinkedIn? So, is there such a thing as posting too much on LinkedIn? Like, what's actually the ideal amount to post on LinkedIn? How does your long form content fit into your LinkedIn strategy, if at all? Can you get by without posting any content to LinkedIn? So, these are some of the questions we're going to tackle today in our discussion. And I've heard too many social media like gurus talk about content being the foundation of your business. But I've actually had periods myself where I posted literally nothing on LinkedIn, even though I'm a LinkedIn person, but continue to have a steady flow of opportunities. So this really got me thinking. I saw the same thing happening for a number of my clients like, huh, We're actually not posting much content at all on LinkedIn, and still we are having these fantastic conversations that are leading to business opportunities. What's going on here? I think there's something deeper here besides just post content for the sake of posting content to be popular. So let's have a chat. We're going to have a chat about what you can do right now to master your LinkedIn marketing without wasting your time on the posts that don't actually contribute to your bottom line. So, aloha. For those who don't know me, my name is Mindy Rosser. I'm the founder of Mindy Rosser Marketing, and I have a group program called the LinkedIn Accelerator for those who want to go from 0 to 60 on LinkedIn with their profile and their network. And you are invited to get on the wait list for the next one happening in April. I will put the details at the end of this live if you're curious. And this week, I'm actually teaching a similar program for my alumni, and it's called the Social Selling Accelerator. So it's really for those who are wanting to use LinkedIn to identify and reach out to their ideal clients on LinkedIn. So, yes, I know how to do this too. So, my secret sauce is really helping superstars who feel they are the best kept secret in their industry to become that go to visible expert in their niche so that they can get that next opportunity, grow their business, and scale their impact on LinkedIn. In this live, we are going to talk about why spending all of your time on LinkedIn marketing is really not growing your business or increasing opportunities, and how you can actually simplify your marketing plan on LinkedIn so that you can get more clients and business opportunities this year without the content overwhelm. Are you ready? Let's do this. Go ahead and like this post, whether you're live or watching from the replay, to give it some social love. One of the questions I get asked a lot is, Mindy, how much content should I post to LinkedIn? So, like I mentioned before, one of the biggest mistakes that people make on LinkedIn is feeling this pressure. I call it like this content pressure to post too frequently to LinkedIn. So, if you are an expert like me, then you actually should be spending less time than the typical influencer posting content to LinkedIn. So, when I'm talking about influencers, most of us are not influencers. If you're watching this, you're probably not an influencer. We're not trying to become one necessarily. Maybe down the road, if things pan out, we're like, oh, yeah, we'll explore that later. But we consider ourselves to be thought leaders, and we also happen to be experts. So, as a thought leader, we don't have to have hundreds of thousands of people following us. We really just need to influence those people and help those people in our networks and those people who should be in our networks to solve a very specific problem. So think about, when I'm thinking about content, I think about the 80-20 rule. You get 80% of your results from the 20% of the things that you actually do. If you're an expert, then you should actually be spending that 80% of your time working on your business in areas of expertise and getting new leads. So, not in using up all your creative energy writing posts for LinkedIn. And I've seen a lot of people make this mistake where they think that, okay, if I write a bunch of posts for LinkedIn, that's going to translate to prospects for me. They're going to come to me and I'm going to have all of these inbound leads. Unfortunately, that's not how it works for most people on LinkedIn, unless you have a really huge network and you've been posting content for a very long time. So people say, well, Mindy, isn't content creation and publishing a big part of attracting new leads on LinkedIn? All right, yes and no. As an expert, you actually need to focus on the activities that are going to drive business revenue and a steady stream of opportunities. Let's listen to this steady stream, like underline steady stream of opportunities, not haphazard, not because you wrote a post and it went viral finally. What I'm talking about is using LinkedIn to create a steady stream of opportunities. So no matter what inbound content marketing gurus tell you, inbound marketing does not drive a steady stream of prospects, ideal clients, or opportunities for you until you have a huge, I mean, huge following, or you have established SEO in your industry on your website. Okay. So, inbound marketing is a good thing. I'm not anti inbound marketing. But when people try to apply that same inbound marketing principle to LinkedIn, a lot of them come to me very, very disappointed because they are spending all of this time creating content. They're posting every single weekday. They're writing these really thoughtful posts that probably take them an hour to write, and they're not getting business results. So, content is a long term strategy. And when you treat it like a short term win that is going to bring in all this new business, you are going to be disappointed. So keep that in mind. If you're thinking, okay, I want to use LinkedIn. I want new opportunities. I don't have time to waste. I need to put my energy in the right spots. Then you are here because you want to simplify your marketing plan. So that is a good thing. You are in the right place. If you're an expert with a small but mighty network and you want to become like a thought leader and use LinkedIn to engage with your audience while getting new clients, don't try to act like an influencer just yet. Don't spend so much time writing content. Influencers, they get their revenue from writing content. They get their revenue from the number of followers that they have. They get certain deals based on their follower size. So they are writing content for very different reasons than we are writing content. So keep that in mind. And it's really easy to look at influencers and try to mimic what they're doing when they actually have a completely different strategy than we do. So your focus should be on a few pieces of content as an expert that are going to drive the most results for the time that you invest. So in reality, you should be posting to LinkedIn less frequently than you might think. Make sense? That's probably good news, right? You're like, I don't have to become a content expert to use LinkedIn well and actually drive new business. So it all depends on why you're using LinkedIn to begin with. If you're thinking about content like an expert, you're going to be delighted to know you don't need to do as much posting as you might have thought at first. So, little hint here, if you followed me for a little while, you may know this already, but you should actually spend the majority of your, like what I call your LinkedIn time, inside your direct messages and engaging with your ideal prospects. So, not spending all of that time creating the most thought provoking content ever created. You really should be engaging in that back and forth, that one to one. That's really where the power of LinkedIn is for business growth, for relationships, for deepening your relationships with your connection, building new relationships inside your network. So, like I mentioned before, why are you on LinkedIn? Think about that. That really should shape how you approach your content. Most of the experts I know that are on LinkedIn are trying to grow their business and be able to point to LinkedIn and say, okay, last month I got X number of opportunities from LinkedIn. That's like the goal, right? So you want to be able to point to LinkedIn and say, I know that LinkedIn is worth my time because I got 10 new calls with my ideal clients using LinkedIn. That is good. Yeah, as experts, we need new leads, we need new prospects, we need new conversations. As experts, a lot of us are also looking to be on other people's podcasts or shows or interviews, so that could also be considered an opportunity. You can define an opportunity however you would like. And if you're in what I would call maybe you're an in the making influencer, so like eventually you want to be an influencer and you're only interested in getting a bigger following, tons of engagement on your posts, trying to look like you're a thought leader, you really enjoy publishing a lot of content, the approach we're going to talk about today is not for you. I have made some other videos that are probably more relevant to where you are headed, but this approach is really about getting simple, really focused on business revenue. Where are you going to get the most bang for your buck with your LinkedIn content? But if you're like the rest of us and you're an expert trying to be smart with your time and resources, let's talk about what your LinkedIn marketing strategy should actually be designed to do. So, in a perfect world, you want to be able to post probably once or twice a week. You want to share your expertise in a way that pulls your ideal audience out of the woodwork, gets them to engage with you, and helps them to shift their perspective. So, a visible expert is also a thought leader. So, no matter how big or small your audience is, you are a thought leader. You don't need thousands of people who wait with bated breath for every piece of content to call yourself an expert. So keep that in mind. It doesn't matter if you have a small but mighty network, if you're just growing, if you've recently pivoted, but you have a perspective, a unique way of doing things, you are an expert. So you simply need to use your content to remind people of your expertise and how that you can help them if they're struggling with a certain type of problem you can solve. So when I think about content that I create and that I help other experts create, it's really about problem solving. It's about, hey, I know what your problem is. Here's how we can solve it together. Oh, here's how we solved a problem for somebody that's in a similar space. It's really about reminding people that you still do what you do and that you can help them solve their problems. That's what good content from experts should be geared and designed to do. So, yes, there is such a thing as too much posting on LinkedIn, where your credibility as an expert actually goes down because you spend too much time on LinkedIn. Let me give an example. So there's a LinkedIn expert in my space. I respect him. He's a good guy, and he actually comments multiple times per day, engages with every single comment on his own post, dozens of comments on other people's posts. Yet he claims to be a LinkedIn expert who is reassuringly expensive. So, do I ever hear him talk about how he helps his clients? Not really. He seems like he just kind of gabs on LinkedIn all day, sounds pretty darn smart, and it makes me question how much expertise he really has. Is he actually in the trenches with people, or is he just kind of looking at other people's posts and in his little circle of friends saying, "Oh yeah, this is what LinkedIn is doing for us." So think about that. If you are posting too frequently, your expertise in other people's minds can actually go down because they think that you have nothing better to do. You probably have no clients. You have no expertise. You're just trying to like drum up business on LinkedIn. So you don't have to jump on every content trend out there. You don't have to post as often as you want. Even if you are posting a little less frequently, but it's very strategic and what you're posting about is very thoughtful, people are going to respect that. On LinkedIn, people don't expect you to post every day. You can, but you don't have to. And you don't have to jump on every content trend out there either. Personally, I'm pretty tired of hearing that I need to like start doing TikToks or dancing to reels and become an entertainer just because I'm an expert and I want to get the attention of my audience. So rest assured, you should not have to do any of this as an expert if you don't want to, especially on LinkedIn. So if you're like, Mindy, yeah, I'm kind of tired of all those other channels. I'm not this entertaining person. I don't feel that comfortable in front of a camera. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but you really want to focus on sharing your expertise in a more meaningful way. You are in the right place. LinkedIn is a wonderful platform for that. And for those of you who do like Reels and TikToks, don't post them to LinkedIn. People will come down on you or you will instantly lose credibility. I have seen some people do this, so don't cross post that content. Okay. All right. So, how should you, as an expert, approach your LinkedIn marketing and your content planning? So we are going to KISS. No, we're not going to kiss, but keep it simple, smarty pants. Okay. So we are going to talk through the keep it simple strategy to LinkedIn marketing. So, experts who want to simplify their LinkedIn marketing plan can do it in a number of ways. So, let's talk about some of the factors that you can consider as you are dialing in your LinkedIn marketing strategy without getting overwhelmed, without overposting, without feeling like you have to create content out of nowhere. We are really looking for the sweet spot with our LinkedIn marketing. We're not just posting to get engagement, we're not posting to look like an influencer. We are focused on thought leadership. And thought leadership does not require dozens of reactions on posts or hundreds of comments or posting every single workday. All right. So, number one, frequency. LinkedIn post frequency. How often should you post? I get asked this all the time. Does every expert need to post on LinkedIn? You may be surprised to hear me say no. There are some experts that really don't need to post frequently at all. They could get away with posting maybe once per month, especially if they are like seen as an in demand board member, a C-suite executive, somebody who has a lot of clout in their industry. Remember, posting more frequently would signal that they have too much time on their hands or that they've just outsourced it completely. And people on LinkedIn want to feel like you are the one posting. So even if you are outsourcing your content for LinkedIn or you're getting help on that front, it should still feel like you. And if it feels like, you're posting an awful lot and like a ton of content and it doesn't feel congruent with who you are as an expert and what you're actually doing, that can turn people off. So keep in mind that you don't have to post too frequently if that really doesn't jive with your position. So if you're an expert, like most of us, I would say the majority of us that are watching this probably should I recommend posting about once per week, especially if you're just getting started and you want a good guideline to follow. This works really well with the LinkedIn algorithm. If you are posting once a week, LinkedIn feels like you're active and your posts are going to show up a little more frequently in the newsfeed than if you were posting kind of sporadically or once per month. So once you are posting weekly and it becomes a habit, you can play with it. So if you want to dial it up a little bit, maybe you want to post twice a week. And the days I would recommend tend to be between Tuesday to Thursday. Those days tend to get the most engagement and traction overall. So think of the middle of the work week. Usually Monday is a little more quiet, I would say. Friday's kind of like a party day. A lot of people have checked out. So Tuesday to Thursday tend to be really good days to post. So I think posting every weekday, I get asked this like, should I post every weekday? It's overkill for most of us, for most experts. But if you're a marketer, if you're a social media expert, it might be appropriate to post more frequently. People are probably going to expect it coming from you because you kind of live in that world. So just kind of take these as guidelines. Don't feel like you have to do it one specific way. Common sense and what can you handle? So, personally, if you want to know what I do, I usually end up posting 3 to 4 times per week, but always at least twice. So I shoot for that sweet spot of at least twice per week. If I have a few other posts that I can get in during the week, I do. If I've been interviewed or a podcast guest or something like that, I tend to use that as one of the other things that I post. But usually I'm posting this, which you see right now, the live stream on Mondays. And then on Tuesdays, I post my newsletter, which is featuring my live stream from Monday. So for me, I have everything covered by Tuesday. And then Wednesday and Thursday are kind of like, okay, if I have extra things that I can post, then I will post them. But I don't stress about it. So you want to think about a frequency that is going to work for you without causing that stress or anxiety, and then stick with it and see the results that you get. If you're pretty happy with that frequency, you don't have to change it. Just keep it really, really simple. All right. So, number two, you want to think about your content types. So, if you would have asked me, Mindy, what should I post several months ago? I used to recommend that experts post a mix of short form and long form content because both were valuable. But the short form content used to do really well on LinkedIn and people loved it. So you would think like very pithy post or a really thought provoking question and lots of engagement in the comments. But now it's shifted a little bit. Videos used to perform really well. I used to tell people, oh, yeah, you have to do video. Like put yourself on video, post a 30-second clip. Sometimes those work okay now. I still use them for my own content and for some of my clients, and they just aren't working the same. LinkedIn is really pushing the long form content. So in 2022, as you're looking at your LinkedIn content strategy, think about LinkedIn creator mode. I talked in depth about this last week, so go watch that live stream if you're curious. This is where you're going to get the most visibility, especially as an expert. It's good news for those of us because we don't have to write like the pithy, clever stuff to get attention. It's really about showcasing our expertise, helping people solve their problems, and showing them the most effective way to do that, helping them shift their perspectives to see things in a different way. So, if you're an expert in already producing regular content in the form of a blog, articles, videos, live streams, podcasts, interviews, you can repurpose this same long form content on LinkedIn. You don't have to like recreate the wheel and think, oh, I have to create content specific to LinkedIn. You want to repurpose stuff that you're already doing. So I highly recommend watching last week's session about LinkedIn creator mode for like the nitty gritty details and setting it up. You do not have to create content only for LinkedIn to use those features. So like I said, repurpose content from other platforms that you're using, and you can use those features to repurpose that content. And if you don't have long form content as an expert, maybe you're just getting started, you're still trying to figure out your niche, you really do need to think about some type of long form content that you can create on a regular basis. So, this could be anything that I've mentioned already: articles, interviews, blogs, going live, whatever this could be. For you, you need to create something regularly. This is critical for experts these days. Everyone expects to be able to find content created by an expert. So, if you're an expert with no content, you are definitely going up against stiff competition. Most people are creating content. So think about what that weekly content can be. It doesn't have to be long. Like if you decide to do a podcast or a video, it can be short. It can be 3 to 5 minutes. But it needs to be something that doesn't feel like just, random LinkedIn posts. It needs to feel like, okay, this is a weekly thing that you do. This is a weekly show. This is a weekly article. This is a weekly blog on these types of topics. So think about what that can be. Now, if you like a little bit of short form content and you're really good at writing those pithy posts, then you can go for it. Just be sure to sprinkle in some longer form content from time to time on LinkedIn to ensure that you're seen as a credible expert. not just like a clever copywriter who can game the algorithm to get engagement. So if you're going to use short form content, mix it with the long form. So everybody these days needs longer form content on LinkedIn. All right, so moving on to number 3, best times to post. So if you're wondering the best times to post, don't think too hard about it. All right. So post sometime during the workday on weekdays. So, like I said, Tuesday through Thursday tend to be really good days to post, and just post during your workday. You don't have to, try to pick the perfect lunchtime or when people are commuting to work. I've seen a lot of people just get into the weeds about the best time of day to post. If it's a decent post, people are going to see it. If people engage with it, you're going to be fine. It's going to have that long tail effect on LinkedIn, which we all love. So I've seen too many people try to post at the best time and then find it actually doesn't really make a difference as long as they post. It's like, oh, I could post at 11 a.m. or 1 p.m. and it's okay. So if you find that posting on a certain day of the week at a certain time does work well for you, then go with that. But don't stress too much about it. For those who really want to nerd out, though, I know some of you are like, Mindy, but I really want to know. I recommend a tool. It's called Shield, like a shield, shieldapp.ai. So look them up. Fantastic app if you want to get nerdy about your LinkedIn posts. And then you can see what times people actually engage with your posts, what posts are performing well. There's a ton of analytics. If you like analytics, shieldapp.ai, really, really cool tool. So remember, just post at a natural time of day and during the week, whenever it works for you. Like I mentioned, I go live on Monday afternoons, but it's not typically when a lot of people are online. I expect that people will watch the replay. I repurpose this post and I share it elsewhere. But you know what? I love Mondays. So this time works really, really well for me. It's when I am the most fresh and enthusiastic. So I like posting my newsletters on Tuesdays because more people are around. And I feel like people who didn't catch it on Mondays are like, oh, yeah, that's right. Mindy does this thing on Mondays. I'll catch it in the newsletter. So you can see how that same piece of content can be repurposed elsewhere. If you like to write personal posts, those are doing quite well right now. Like if you post a selfie, a picture of you in action doing something work related or fun or hobby related, these tend to do really well on Thursdays. I found because most people are kind of like looking for distractions by that point in the week, and people tend to engage with those over the weekend. So there's a long tail effect. So just experiment, figure out what you like, when you like to post, and go with that. Don't overthink it. All right. And finally, so, what should your weekly content formula look like? So, you want to decide on what your formula should be based on the 3 things we talked about. So, you want to figure out how many times per week you want to post to LinkedIn, choose which type of content you want to post, then post it at the best time of day for you. And do this week after week after week. And as long as you're posting on somewhat of a cadence, it doesn't really matter what that cadence is. Not if you're an expert. If you're an influencer, you're going to have to post a heck ton of content and get prepared to write a lot. But for those of us who are experts, thought leaders, we want to choose a content approach that we can be consistent with, as that's the key with LinkedIn. Consistency trumps everything, and the algorithm loves consistency. So as long as you're posting once a week on LinkedIn, you're good to go. All right, so there you have it. Let's recap how to maximize what we're doing from a content perspective. So remember, first thing, we want our frequency. We want to make sure that we have a frequency we can stick with that works for us. Second, we want to pay attention to our LinkedIn content types. Make sure that we have a good amount of long form content in there, even if we like short form content. Then, third, we want to think about the best times to post for us. It doesn't have to be what some guru said it should be, it's whatever works best for us in our personal schedule. And then we want to pick a weekly content formula that we can stick with. That's it. So keep it super, super simple. So, what additional questions do you have about simplifying your LinkedIn marketing approach? Leave them below in the comments or shoot me a private message. I am happy to answer them. I love to nerd out on this stuff. And if you are ready to get started with LinkedIn and you're like, okay, Mindy, let's do this. Like, how do I get going on my LinkedIn content strategy? How do I feel confident with LinkedIn? Then you'll want to hop into the LinkedIn Accelerator and get on the wait list. We are opening the doors in early April. This program is really designed to help you get started with LinkedIn and take the next step to optimize your LinkedIn profile. And that is key to LinkedIn. So even before posting content, even before you start doing outreach, you really want to make sure your profile is dialed in. Otherwise, you're just not going to get the results. So pay attention to your profile so you can start growing your network on the regular and land your next opportunity in 2022. So hop into the wait list. I'll send more details there. April is when the doors open next. And I think that's it for today. I will see you all next week on Mondays with Mindy. Feel free to leave any questions you have in the comments or send me a message. My inbox is always open if you want to message me there. Have a beautiful rest of the week. I will see you next time. Bye for now.